This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, good. So, Pesach. Let me hear some of the questions you might have. If not, I'll just give a brief overview of what's going on, but I will probably won't get to the overview because we'll deal with the questions. Yes. And I'll repeat the questions out loud for those over here so you can hear the questions. Okay. 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 Yes. Okay. So, Ladero asked about the chametz that one wants to hold on to. Okay. So, we have a Torah prohibition, bal yira'eh, bal yimatzeh. We should not see your chametz. We should not find your chametz. Okay? So in order to avoid it being your chametz, there are a number of things that we do. Okay? But emphasis on your chametz. Therefore, if you go into Wholesome Choice and you happen to walk past and see all the nice bread on your over your right shoulder over there, it might even smell really good. It might look really good. That's not a problem. As long as you don't eat it, you're okay. You're seeing it, but you're not believing it. And it doesn't belong to you, so it's not going to be an issue. Now, according to the Torah, if we're not dealing with the added rabbinic aspects, as long as you do what's called bittul, as long as you proclaim your chametz to be ownerless, it's not yours, and we're good to go. However, you can't proclaim it to be ownerless and then lock it up in your pantry, because that's not really being ownerless. Okay, so what we do is as follows. There are a number of steps that we do. First of all, we arrange, and there are documents outside, all can do with me if you like. We arrange, you appoint me as your shaliach, as your agent, and the chametz that you want to keep might be some grains you've got. It might be some liquors that you've got, right? So that which you want to keep, that you put into an area of the kitchen that is closed off, okay? And we will sell that. I will be your agent to sell that on your behalf to our good friend Jose, okay? And it belongs to Jose for the extent of Pesach, okay? If Jose wants to come into your house and take it, Jose can come into your house and take it, okay? He hasn't in the past, but as we say, past performance is no guarantee for any future dividends, results, gains, etc., okay? If he will come in and take it, which he's authorized to do, it's not for free. We'll have to sit down afterwards and calculate the value. Okay. After Pesach, he comes back to shul. That will be next Saturday night is when Pesach will end. And he, in the past, has very graciously sold it back to me. Okay? In which case, at that point, you can once again partake of your chametz. Okay? That's one of the steps that we take. Additionally, we're afraid that there might be some chametz that you forgot about. You might have a bag of chips. One of your kids might have a lollipop. Wonder where they got that one from, right? One of your kids might have a lollipop, right? And we don't want that lying around, okay? So therefore, on Thursday night, traditionally, we do this with candlelight, okay? Because the candlelight penetrates deep into the nooks and crannies. So that's how we start off doing it. However, it's not really the most effective way to look under things and around things, especially if you have curtains and things like that. So we start off with a candle, but then we graduate to a flashlight. Okay? Now, that's Thursday night around the time Shabbos ends is when we would start to do that. Shabbos is ending around probably about 8:01 or probably about 8 o'clock or so is when the stars are coming out. So that is, on the calendar says exactly, maybe it's 7:59, maybe it's 8 o'clock, 8 or whatever it is. At that point, in the Sidurim, let me get a Sidur. Yes, page 654, number 654. Page 654. So there's a blessing that you make before you start the search. Now, the house is clean already. You've already done a good amount of the cleaning, I imagine. Probably more than a good amount of the cleaning, right? Nevertheless, so what we do traditionally is we put out 10 little pieces of bread. The way that I do it is I use pita, which doesn't crumb, and I also put them into little Ziploc bags, okay? Because you don't want to cause more problems than we are correcting, okay? I remember when I was a kid, I wasn't very bright, and I was hiding the bread, so I had like a little desk lamp. So I thought this was a smart idea. My father disagreed very much, to kind of like cram it up into that little lamp, right? So my father wouldn't be able to find it. And when he couldn't find it, I showed him where it was, and we start taking it out, and there's crumbs all over the place. He was not pleased, understandably so. Like I said, right? So what we do is we take pita, we take little bits of the pita, put it into a little sandwich Ziploc bag, have the kids, right, distribute it, but have a more senior member oversee that, right? And that way, you make sure that you get 10 by the end of the night, okay? So we put out the 10 because we've already done a very serious checking, so we want to find something, but the actual blessing is on the search. So even if you wouldn't find, it's okay, but it shouldn't just be a perfunctory poke around. Meaning you should really think, right? I always think of things like, oh, this coat, right? Let me check the pockets. Maybe I have a couple of extra lollipops in those pockets. Oh, maybe unbeknownst to others in the family, you have some Hershey's Kisses that you keep in some of your pockets, right? Just for an emergency. You never know. You never know. I think it was W.C. Fields during Prohibition, right? That you have to carry around a little bit of, some liquor, because you never know when you might get bitten by a snake. And you also have to carry around a snake just in case, right? So classic W.C. Fields routine, right? So you really do want to think, where might there be some real chametz? So don't let it just be this perfunctory poke around, but really give some thought. I remember when we were living in Israel, we traveled to the States, so we did a bedika. We were by my in-laws for Pesach, and we were doing this bedika, and then I realized I had a whole box of wafers that I had for the kids on the flight, which we didn't end up eating. But my carry-on had this whole, so you really want to think, did I travel somewhere? Did I have some snacks? Right? Actually, we just came back from my son's wedding, so I did have a couple of bars in my carry-on. I was about to put it away when I remembered, oh, I have those bars over there, and I took it out. Right? So you want to make it real, right? Because there are places where we might have things, coat pockets, things like that. So you want to check those places. The blessing that we're going to make is al biur chametz. Biur actually means the removal of the chametz or the burning of the chametz. It's all there in our Sidur on page 654, 655. Even though we don't make the blessing on searching for the chametz, because that's not the completion. That's one step in the process. Okay? So we make the blessing, and as is always the case, once you make a blessing, you don't interrupt between the blessing and the mitzvah you're about to do. So you have to make sure not to interrupt between the blessing and your starting of your search. Once you've started the search, then if you do speak, ideally, you'd only speak about things that are related to the search. But if you do speak about other things, it's not going to be a major issue because you made the blessing and you started the mitzvah, you started the search. Okay. After you finish and you found at least those 10 pieces, right? And hopefully maybe some other things also, then you make a bitul proclamation. Bitul is a renouncing of ownership. We have it in Hebrew, actually it's Aramaic, but you should say it in the Aramaic if you want, but certainly say it in English so you know what you're saying also. And what you're saying is, any chametz or leaven that is in my possession, which I have not seen, have not removed, and do not know about, shall be annulled and become ownerless like the dust of the earth. Okay? So that's all here on page 654. Now, you're only proclaiming ownerless that which you don't know about. That which you do know about, well, that which you've sold or that which is going to be sold is not going to be an issue. I sell at 10 o'clock on on Friday morning. That will not be an issue. But let's say those things that you found now, you don't want to make those ownerless because you want to burn your chametz the next morning. Okay? So then the next morning, and on the calendar, we have the last time to eat chametz and the last time to burn chametz. And we will have a little fire pit set up over here in the shul, and you could bring your chametz here to have it burned. Don't bring a big garbage bag with all of your household trash, right? That we're not going to burn over here. Just bring. Now, some people might want to, well, let me, and I'll come back to your full question in a moment, right? Some people, if they have a little bit left of their cereal, they might want to get rid of that, right? We can burn that. We burn the bread, right? But we don't need to start burning the carrot peels for, because you made soup the night before, right? And all the right? It's the chametz that needs to be burned. After that, then a second proclamation is made, almost identical to the first one, but tell me the difference. Any chametz leaven that is in my possession, whether I have recognized it or not, whether I've seen it or not, whether I have removed it or not, should be annulled and become ownerless like the dust of the earth, right? Before it was only things that I have not seen. Now we're covering everything. So therefore, anything that has not been sold, anything that has not been burned, you are absolving your ownership of that, and therefore it will not be yours over the course of Pesach. So, Ludell, you'd asked before, so what can a person sell? So, really, a person can sell anything they want, even loaves of bread. I personally, many people don't like to sell what's called chametz gamor. Real bona fide chametz, right? I think it's better to, right, to get rid of that, right? Loaves of bread, bagels, rolls, things like that. Yeah. Now, if you have some other things, let's say we have some things that are not real chametz, but they're not kosher for Passover. So if you have a second freezer and fridge, you can put it into that fridge and freezer, put it into a bag and close the bag, and that way you know not to touch that. Even if you don't have another freezer, right? If it's stuff, you might have some meat or chicken it's not chametz, but it's not kosher for Passover, right? So that you put into a bag and tie the bag and just put it in the back of your freezer, and that way you know that you won't mistakenly take that out and start to use that over Passover, over Pesach. Okay? Clear? Yes, Esther. Oh, I'm sure so Esther has a cat and the name is Rivka. Okay.
She has dry food.
Okay.
Checks the dry food. It has a lot of notes. And the wet food has some tapioca starch, but other than that.
Okay. Is it a Sephardic or Ashkenaz cat? No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. There goes the kidneys. Okay. Okay. So, okay. So let me get one thing to show everybody. You guys have one of these already? Okay. Wonderful resource. Okay. I'll give you 1 second. I'm going to show what it is. We have them here in Shul. We have them here in Shul. And also, I believe it is online also. Okay. And he goes through a lot of very important things here. Like he'll let you know, for example, now, like soaps and stuff does not need to be called. You can use any soaps you want. That which goes into one's mouth, like the toothpaste and the mouthwash, that we are a little more strict with. So, for example, over here, he will list toothpaste, Aim, Colgate, Close-Up, Pepsodent, and Ultra Bright. He'll list here the toothpaste that you can buy that is not going to be, right? You don't need to go find kosher for Passover, Horowitz's toothpaste, right? But you just, right, when it comes to mouthwash also, mouthwash, Colgate, all, Listerine, Cool Mint, Total Care, Zero, Ultra Clean, Zero Alcohol, Scope, Toms of Maine, Amway, not Amway Glister Anti-Plaque Fluoride, mind you, right? So he'll list all these things, right? So this is a very good resource. Now, in terms of pets, so one is not allowed to get any benefit from chametz. One can't, of course, eat chametz, but one can also not get any benefit from chametz, which then gets into the issue of pets. And he's got a little section over here on pets. Just 1 second. Pet food on page 12. One of the many challenges of Pesach is finding halachically permissible pet food. There are 2 separate kashrut issues one should be aware of. One is related specifically to Pesach, the other relates to the rest of the year as well. The year-round problem concerns the mixing of milk and meat, right? We're not allowed to get benefit from mixing from milk and meat mixed together. Okay, can't be cooked together, eaten together, derive benefits. Okay, these prohibitions in Torah do not apply to poultry or venison. Okay, and then they extended it. Okay, but all right. Now, besides that, we can't get any benefit from chametz. Now, the Ashkenazic custom is not to partake of kitnios, beans, but we're allowed to own it, and we're allowed to get benefit from it. So, if the pet food, let me see what I was going to say. Okay. So a person, I'm now on page 13 in the middle of the paragraph, the first column. Person who owns a pet is obligated to feed it in a timely manner, and due to the provision providing any pleasure benefit from chametz, we are not permitted to use or own pet food containing any type of chametz on Pesach. It is important to be aware of this prevalent use of the 5 grains: wheat, germ, cracked, flour, gluten, ground, groats, middling, starch, rye, barley, cracked flour, oats, flour, groats, old and spelt, in dog and cat food today. Other chametz ingredients are brewer's yeast, gluten, malt, pasta starch, and xanthan gum. Almost all dry pet foods list wheat or oats as their first ingredient. This is true for fish food and bird foods as well. Okay, so therefore he goes through that which is okay, right? He has the whole thing on listing on cat food, right? That which is okay. Certain things at Costco, at Kirkland, you get at Costco. Okay, so he goes through different cat food, dog food, fish food, turtles, hamsters, guinea pigs, zergles, rabbits, right, etc. Okay, so this is something that it's a good thing that you brought up, Esther, because this is something that for those who have pets, my kids always wanted us to get a dog. Now his response was, "We have 7 beautiful little puppies, and we're kind of busy with those 7 puppies, so we're not getting any additional puppies. And when you guys get older and you want to have a puppy, you can get a puppy." What we forgot to say was, when you get older and move out of our house. So one of my sons, right, had his dog Chucky, right, while he was in the house. He took care of it, but our shoes got all chewed up. The first night Chucky was crying away, and Natalie, so Shmuel slept next to Chucky, and Natalie went down to help. In the morning she said to me, "How did you sleep through that?" I said, "Honey, I did 7 kids. I'm not doing puppies." You want a puppy? Enjoy the puppy. I don't do puppies. I did 7 kids. I did mine. Okay, so cat food, dog food is something that one needs to be careful with. Yes. Yeah. You want the document that I'm using to sell to Jose is a proper halachic document, and we go through different means of acquisition. So it's just it might be, but it might be, right? So you want to make sure that you know like this is a seasoned document that the rabbis have been using for hundreds of years, and we do many different forms of acquisition, and so I would say stay standard. Yeah, yeah, it's easier, it's cleaner that way. Yeah, yeah. Okay, any other questions? Anybody online with any questions? Yes, Ladera. Yes, yes. Okay, during the intermediary days, the Chol HaMoed, so Yom Tov is, the Seder is Friday night, and then Sunday and Shabbos is Yom Tov, Shabbos and Yom Tov. Saturday night and Sunday is again Yom Tov, and those Yom Tov days, of course, are like Shabbos days in terms of prohibition, with the exception being, well, right, utilizing an existing flame. And therefore, what you want to do, if your ovens if your stovetops have a pilot, you could take a flame from there, right? Right. What we do is we use, let's get what they're called, those little burners that you light under a chafing dish. Sternos. Thank you. Yeah, sternos, right? So it needs to be taken from an existing flame. When you light candles Saturday night, it needs to be from an existing flame. So what people typically do is you can buy a 2-day, a 48-hour candle, right? And you light that on Friday night, and that's going to burn through Sunday night. And that way, any flames that you need to take, you could take from there. When you light your candles Saturday night, you're going to take from an existing flame, and then you're going to put them, you're not going to, so you're not igniting the flame, nor are you extinguishing the flame. You just have some aluminum foil there, after you light your candles, put the match down, and it will burn out on its own. Have aluminum foil, play it safe, of course. It'll burn out on its own. So again, that is Yom Tov, which has like Shabbos, except in terms of one is allowed to do cooking. The sternos are a great way to do cooking or to do warming up, because you buy the 2-hour or the 4-hour sternos, whatever it is, and it'll burn, and it goes out on its own after all the fuel is used up. And of course, you take it from an existing flame. If you want to use your stovetop, you can. If it has an electric starter, that is a problem, right? Because that would be igniting the flame. A lot of our stovetops, you can't turn on the gas without going through the electric starter. So what we did, when we had these stovetops put into the kitchen, we had the person put in a kill switch, so that we were able to cut off the electricity. And that way there is no electric starter. You just turn it, the gas starts to come, and then we take an existing flame, put it there, and then it lights up. Okay? Because that's igniting. That's what's happening there. That is igniting. Okay? Yeah. Hot plates are fine, perfectly fine, right? They'll need to be put on before Shabbos, so you can use a Shabbos clock, a timer, right? To have it go on and off as you wish. That is certainly fine. Okay. Okay. So coming back to Daryl's question, during the intermediary days, which is Sunday night, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday until Thursday night. Thursday night, Friday, Friday night, Saturday is once again Yom Tov. Okay? And we'll need to discuss something special when you have a Yom Tov going into Shabbos. We'll discuss that in a moment. Chol HaMoed is still Pesach. It's the Chol, it's the mundane, the regular of the Moed. Okay? If a person is allowed to do work if otherwise it is a Davar Ha'aved, meaning that they are missing out, they are losing as a result of that. So a person who needs their parnasa, needs their earnings, the person, right, could and should go to work on Chol HaMoed. Fancy writing, calligraphy writing, writing, that one would not do. Things like that, not. But the regular mundane activities, one is driving to shul or driving for work, whatever one needs to do, one is allowed to do that. Okay. The last days are Friday, Saturday. Okay? So one is allowed, we're not allowed to prepare from Shabbos for a weekday. Okay? Therefore, let's say the first 2 days, which are Shabbos, Saturday, and Sunday, you can't do any preparations on Shabbos for Saturday night, for the second Seder. We can't start to warm things up. We can't start to do any preparations on Shabbos. We need to wait till Shabbos is over and then to start warming things up. So the food for the second Seder, those who are here with me, so we're all set with that, okay? If any of you are going to be home, so the food that was prepared already for the second Seder, that should only be taken out to be warmed up once 8:02 arrives, which is the time that Shabbos ends. Then one can start doing preparations for the Seder. It takes a while till we get to the meal point of the Seder anyhow. So that's not really an issue, because by the time we get to there, right, the food will be nice and warm. Okay? That is when we have Saturday, Sunday, Yom Tov. When we have Friday or Thursday, Friday, and then Shabbos, So then what one can do is called an Eruv Tafshilin. And that's also mentioned here on page 654. And what happens is as follows. One cannot prepare even from Yom Tov for Shabbos. But if I've already started the preparations, then I can continue. So Eruv Tavshilin here explains it nicely over here. The biblical prohibition against the performance of labor on the festivals does not apply to preparation of food. Although it is forbidden to perform work on a festival in preparation for a weekday, food preparation for the next day would be permitted by scriptural law, because in the event guests were to come unexpectedly on the festival, the food would be used for them. So preparing for a lot of food on Friday, so there we say, well, maybe a lot of guests are going to pop in on Friday, in which case preparing for Friday, which is Yom Tov, preparing for Yom Tov on Yom Tov is allowed. Thus, the preparation could be considered to be for festival use. However, the rabbis forbade such preparation for another day as demeaning to the festival. Since the prohibition is of rabbinic origin, the sages instituted the following device to permit preparations of food for the Sabbath if a festival falls on a Friday, which is the case for the last 2 days. The Sabbath food preparation must begin before the festival starts. And that way, I'm simply continuing on the festival on Friday. So sometime on Thursday, I need to start my preparation. Thus, on the day before the festival, in this case, it's on Thursday, one takes a challah, or matzah in this case, please, right? Along with another cooked food. Typically, we take a matzah and we take a hard-boiled egg. These foods are held while the blessing and declaration are recited. The blessing is, blessed be you, Hashem, Elokeinu melech haolam, that you sanctified us with the mitzvot, and you commanded us on the mitzvah of Eruv. Eruv is this co-joining of my before Yom Tov preparations with that which follows. And then you say, Ba'adain, again in Aramaic, but in English it means, through this Eruv, may we be permitted to bake, cook, insulate, that means wrapping, right, to keep it warm, kindle flame, prepare, kindle meaning to pass, prepare, and do anything necessary on the festival for the sake of the Sabbath, and I say for ourselves and for all Jews who live in this city. Okay? So by doing that, you're then able to do preparations on Friday for Shabbos, which would include setting the table. That way, Friday night, you can go right into the meal. It also includes food preparation, as long as it's being done in a manner that can be done on Yom Tov, right? All this does is allow what I can normally do on Yom Tov for Yom Tov, I can now do on Yom Tov for Shabbos. Okay? You start Thursday. Okay? And that will allow you to do all the preparations. So this is something that we have to do certain years, right? This year, right, the last days are falling out on Friday. Sometimes it falls out on Thursday, Friday, 2 days Yom Tov, and then Shabbos. So then you need to do the Eruv on Wednesday before the start, and then you can continue on Friday to prepare for Shabbos. And then you would eat this matzah and this hard-boiled egg at some point on Shabbos, right? Because that was preparations for Shabbos that you began already at that earlier point. Correct. You're setting, you're designating it and setting it aside, and that way, Josh, you've started your Shabbos preparations. Now I can continue them on Yom Tov on Friday, and that way we're going to Shabbos also. A matzah and an egg is what we typically use, and even on Sukkot, people typically just take a matzah and an egg, and that's what they use. Okay. Yeah. Now, normally on a Saturday night, we make Havdalah, but this Saturday night is going to be Yom Tov, so we're not going to make our own standalone Havdalah, but in the Haggadah itself, there will be Havdalah inclusions that become part of the Kiddush. When we're making Kiddush Saturday night, we'll have certain Havdalah inclusions. We're going to look at the candles. I'm going to make a Borei Ma'orei Ha'esh, the blessing on fire we're going to make. Normally, the blessing on a Saturday night is Hamavdiel, that we're the one who separates Bein Kodesh L'chol, between the holy and the mundane. Here we're going to say Bein Kodesh L'Kodesh, between the holy and the holy, because Sunday, the next day, is still holy, but it is a step down. It's from Shabbos going down. Now, on the last days, which is Friday, Shabbos, there we don't do Havdalah from Yom Tov to Shabbos, because Shabbos is a step up. There we just do Kiddush, right, which is a sanctification. That is a step up. But Shabbos to Yom Tov is a step down. So we make the blessing of separation, but again, being Kodesh L'Kodesh, between the holy and the holy. We do the blessing on the candles. What don't we make? Which blessing that we normally do as part of Havdalah are we not going to do? The bisamim, the spices. Why do we make the blessing on spices by Havdalah? It's like smelling salts, meaning as the extra neshama, extra soul leaves us, we start to get a little bit wobbly, right? So what do? And that steadies the ship. Now on Yom Tov, do we have a neshama yetera? We do not. And that is why on Sunday night, we will need to make Havdalah, no candle, no bisamim, just wine, grape juice, and hamavdil ben kodesh l'chol. It's chol hamoed, right? So then we have a problem. If I'm telling you that there is no extra soul on Yom Tov, and that's why after a Yom Tov, the Havdalah does not include the bisamim, the spices, so we should need the spices on Saturday night when we're making our Havdalah as part of the Kiddush of the second Seder. We should need the spices since we lost our extra soul and we need that steadying, but we don't, because the enjoyment and the meal of Yom Tov, that replaces the bisamim in giving us the strength and fortitude to forge on even as that extra soul leaves us. Okay. Any other questions? Yes, Esther.
Right, on the last two days of Pesach.
Friday, Saturday.
Right. Is there a candle? I know there's candlelighting, obviously, but is there candlelighting for Pesach as well?
Yes.
And then
yes.
how does that work?
Okay.
Is that again for
Yes. So when you light it, Esther asked about the candle lighting the last 2 days. So we light candles, right? Lahadlik ner shel Shabbat. To light the candles of Shabbat. We also have lahadlik ner shel Yom Tov, to light the candles for Yom Tov, right? When you make the blessing Friday night, I'll double check with Natalie, but I'm pretty sure you make the blessing lahadlik ner shel Shabbat v'Yom Tov, right? When you're lighting the candles for Friday night, that's easy because you're lighting candles before Shabbos begins. So that's easy. That's a standard, but the blessing will be the candles of Shabbat and Yom Tov. On Saturday night, from an existing flame, will light and make the blessing lahadlik ner shel Yom Tov. to light the candles of Yom Tov. That's by the first 2 days. The last 2 days, once again, Thursday night, it's Chol HaMoed, we could light a flame normally and light the candles for Thursday night, Friday, Yom Tov, and the blessing is Lahadlik Ner, to kindle the flames of Yom Tov, Shel Yom Tov. On Friday, you'll need to get from an existing flame and light before Shabbos, right? And right, whereas, and light before Shabbos begins, and there the blessing will be Lahadlik Ner, to kindle the flames Shel Shabbat vi Yom Tov, of Shabbat and Yom Tov. Okay, Esther, was that clear?
Yes.
Okay.
So we have like
Yes. Yes. You need existing flame.
for the
Yeah.
last week.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. For the first one also, but if you'll be here, you'll all light with Natalie over here. We have pilots that are burning in the stovetop over here. Okay, so you don't have to worry about that for that. But you might want to have a 2-day, a 48-hour flame if you want to have some warm food on Sunday. Yeah, yeah. Okay, and then you'll need that for to light that another such candle on Thursday afternoon. So you'll have that for the lighting on the Shabbos candles on Friday, the last 2 days. Meaning what? Everything's on. Do you have the calendar? You have the Beth calendar? Everything's on the calendar. This Friday, normally we're on summer schedules. So we start 6:15. This Friday we'll start Bisman about 7 o'clock, 5 to 7, 7:05, whatever the calendar. I think it's 7 o'clock. Whatever the calendar says is when the davening times will be. Okay. Good. All right. Yes, Leticia, question.
Rabbi, what are the thoughts on the Omer?
Okay, good. Thank you for bringing that up, Leticia. We start to count the Omer already on the second day of Pesach. In other words, so on Saturday night already, we will start to count the Omer, and we'll count the days linking Pesach to Shavuot, counting the days of the holiday of Shavuot to the time of Matan Torah. We do this to link the two, that Pesach is the physical exodus and Shavuot was the spiritual point that the exodus was meant to bring us to. Mount Sinai receiving the Torah. Okay? Now, one counts each night with a blessing, but if one missed a day in its entirety, then from that point on, one no longer does it with a blessing. Okay, I signed up for a free text warning that I'm going to get every night, reminding me to count Sphira. If you go to myzmanim, myzmanim, I think .com or .org, you could sign up for this free, this free text that will come to you nightly to remind you to do that. M-Y, Zmanim, Z-M-A-N-I-N. Zmanim means times. Yeah. Oh, nice. Oh, good. Good. So Esther pointed out that in the back of the OU magazine, also there's a whole, what do they have over there? They have a whole listing? Good. The prayer for every day and the counts for each day. Okay? And
Thank
that's
you.
also found in the Sidurim on page, I think, 284. Let's see. Yeah, 284, 286. Well, actually, right after Mariv. Right after Aleinu of Mariv. Yeah. Okay, if a person forgot to count, so you only count with a blessing at night. Once it's morning, you can no longer count with the blessing, but morning time, if you remember during the day, you could still count. And that will allow you to continue the subsequent nights to count with a blessing. You only lose the opportunity to continue making a blessing each night if you completely miss the day. You didn't bless at night, you didn't count at night, you didn't count during the day, and also you realize, oh, I completely forgot, and it's already the next night. That's when you continue counting without a blessing. But as long as you counted during that period of the day, either at night with a blessing or during the day without a blessing, then you can continue to count the subsequent nights with a blessing. Okay? And that's a bit more complicated. Maybe, maybe after Pesach. Next Tuesday night I won't be here, so we will continue after Passover. Maybe then we'll go a little bit more into Sfira to Omer, and you'll be able to get an understanding. It's always easier to remember what the halacha is when you understand why the halacha is like that. Then it makes sense, as opposed to just memorizing information. When one understands it, it's a lot more palatable and it becomes a part of us. Okay, my friends, good. So let me wish everybody a Chag Kosher v'Sameach. I hope Josiah will feel better soon. Right? Those of you who will be joining us for the second Seder, I look forward to sharing that with you. And I look forward to sharing the Yom Tov with everybody in all shapes and forms, and wishing everybody a wonderful Pesach, an enjoyable Chag Kosher v'Sameach is how we often say. Okay? Chag Sameach, everybody. Those who want to join my lunch and learn this Thursday, 12:30, will be going through the Seder a bit, unpacking the Seder a little bit, and helping to get a good understanding of the whole structure of the Seder as we work our way through. I'll need it by Thursday night. Or, yeah. So when we have the magazine rack, you'll see we have a whole stack of them over there. Okay. Good night, everybody.
Good night.